It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Jen Cohen as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Once again, great to have you in studio today. JD Maddy is back with us to talk about the solar eclipse that's coming up on Monday, August 24th. August 21st. Welcome back, JD.
Yes, glad to be here again.
Good to see you.
Yes.
Astroverde.org. Go to astroverde.org for more information about JD Maddy and their group of local astronomers. You guys have been busy. Star parties. The last time you were here, which was like a month ago.
Yes.
Tons of star parties coming up.
Yes. Even with the cloudy weather, we've still been able to squeeze in a few star parties. Yes.
That's nice. All right. So let's get into it, because you came back to talk about just this particular event that's taking place.
This is going to be a really, really huge event for all of U.S. and for astronomers as well. It's going to be the most, they say, the most viewed eclipse, total eclipse ever. And that's because it covers so much landmass. It covers a path of over 3,000 miles long over the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of universities, scientific institutions that are setting up along the eclipse path, and they're going to have more data. It'll take them years to go over all this data they'll be collecting.
Oh, wow, okay. I know Lowell Observatory is also going to be up there. They're going to stream it, I guess.
Correct,
Lowell
yes. Several
be,
observatories will be streaming it. They'll be streaming the total eclipse, and then some local observatories will be streaming the partial eclipse as it occurs here in Arizona.
Why is it such a big deal, JD?
Well, our last total eclipse across the U.S. was in 1979, and it only covered a portion of the Northwest, say Washington, Oregon, Montana, maybe Idaho. However, it was cloudy for that 1979 eclipse. So those across the United States were able to see a partial eclipse, but very few people were in the right place at the right time that had a clear sky to see the total eclipse. And the last time a total eclipse has crossed the entire U.S., similar to what it's doing now, I believe was over 100 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's pretty unusual to have this type of eclipse. There's been eclipses go across South America, across Africa, across Australia, and even some in Antarctica. But obviously in some of those areas there's not very many people. You have to travel to it. But there's millions and millions of people that live in the eclipse path. And plus, there's going to be millions and millions and more going to the eclipse path, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Okay. How bad would you love it to just come right over the top of your house?
Oh, that would be nice. Yes.
Wouldn't it be nice, huh?
Yes, that would be
So
nice.
How much of the eclipse are we going to see here in Arizona?
We'll see anywhere from in our area, the Verde Valley, a 68 to 69. If you live north, say towards Flagstaff, you might get close to a 70% eclipse. So not a total eclipse, but just a partial eclipse.
Okay, let's get on track with what you wanted to talk about and how you want to talk about eclipse safety.
Correct. Because we're only going to have a partial eclipse here in Arizona, never, ever, ever look at the sun without proper solar safety eyewear or properly filtered telescope.
Okay.
Now
you brought these in for us.
Correct.
Where would we get something like this?
Well, we're actually going to be doing some solar gazing at the Cottonwood Library on Wednesday, August 9th.
Okay.
So we'll have eclipse glasses available there for those.
Okay, we'll talk more about that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can order them online. For those welders out there, if you have an arc welding helmet with a number 14 glass in it, you can use that to safely observe the eclipse. If you have, say, a number 12 glass in it, and that's how they rate them as darkness, number 12 would work good for, say, taking pictures through a camera.
Oh, wow.
But you wouldn't want to stare very long through the number 12.
Wow.
These eclipse glasses that are approved and certified by a variety of institutions, you could actually watch the entire eclipse, nearly 3 hours worth of eclipse, through these glasses safely.
That's funny, because that's just plastic.
Correct. It's a special mylar and a special coating that they put on it that screens out 100% of the harmful IR and ultraviolet wavelength radiation.
Okay, so nobody go outside and stare at the eclipse on the 21st.
Yes. Now there's a couple of other ways you can observe the eclipse. Say a puddle of water, you can actually look at the reflection of a puddle of water. There again, the water absorbs all the harmful rays and reflects back the visual wavelengths. It'd still be pretty bright. You'd want to wear probably some polarized sunglasses.
Really? Okay. What about a mirror?
A mirror would transmit nearly 100% of all the bad guys.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, all the bad radiation, ultraviolet and IR wavelengths. So you wouldn't want to use a mirror. In fact, some telescopes have mirrors in them, and you want to make sure that you filter the light properly before it enters the telescope.
Oh, wow. Okay. A lot to take into consideration.
Yes, it is. Yes. Okay. And probably a simplistic way, if you go to our website, astroverde.org, over on the left is the little F for Facebook. Actually, on Facebook last week, I put a series of pictures and explanation how to make a solar eclipse viewing box out of a shoe box. You can use, say, a paper box. I was using a paper ring box. Okay. If you want to go really crazy with it, if you have, say, a washer-dryer box that you can actually crawl into, or a refrigerator box, you can actually construct a eclipse viewing apparatus like that.
The world's going to kind of stand still that day, isn't it? We should probably mention what time this all takes place, just so we have that taken care of.
Yes, for here in the Verde Valley, it starts at 9:13. It's called first contact. So right when the moon hits the edge of the sun.
Okay, and that's August 21st on a Monday. It's Monday, August 21st. So at 9:13 a.m., it's going to begin. It's going to start.
Correct.
Okay.
And then maximum eclipse for us will be roughly at about 10:33 a.m.
More than an hour later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then it won't end till noon.
Okay.
So there again, eclipse safety is utmost. Pick up your eclipse glasses, make an eclipse box, get with someone that has a solar filtered telescope, and you'll be good to go there.
You'll be safe that way.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right.
We're not having any constructed solar events here because nearly all our club members are headed north to the eclipse path.
I would imagine so, huh? Yeah, okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about eclipse histories and mythologies?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff if you just go on.
You were telling me before the show, yeah.
Yeah, go on Google, for instance, and check things out about eclipse mythologies. They've actually, the earliest documentation that they have of someone predicting eclipses goes back 5,000 years. Wow. And they found some tablets and such, and these were, I believe, the Babylonians.
Okay.
Now the eclipses occur, lunar eclipses as well as solar eclipses, occur in cycles. So after 100 years or so, the locals, and usually there's a scientist, in all the courts and such, or a medicine man type of person. They are the ones that are in charge of, viewing the stars and the sun, tracking everything. So after 100 years or so, a couple of generations, they finally put a cycle to these eclipses and were able to fairly accurately predict eclipses then.
I would imagine back then, if this happened, it would definitely be documented somehow.
Oh, sure.
All around the world.
Oh, yeah, there's petroglyphs. The Egyptians documented eclipses real well in the pyramids. Just all over the world, really you'll see indications of documentations, more in the petroglyphs and such, like in the U.S. as well as South America.
That's amazing.
So a couple of things. Let's see here.
Is that good for histories and mythologies?
What's that now?
Is that good for the histories and mythologies? Because we got to take a break.
Oh, sure.
We got to take a break already, yeah.
We'll be
Local
back.
astronomer J.D. Maddy in studio today. We're talking about the solar eclipse coming up on Monday, August 21st. Astroverde.org, a great website to check out. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
So you're looking online now? Yeah, great condition. I hate to see her go, but I really just need the cash. Well, the price is still just $1,000, but you have to send the money now, right now. Well, that's why the price is so low. Like I said, I need cash fast. I can't wait on a check or money order. You have to send cash now.
The moment they ask for immediate cash is the moment you know something's wrong. Think before you send money. Learn more at scamawareness.org.
ORKIN has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses ORKIN's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the ORKIN man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona ORKIN and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
Welcome back to Countywide. Local astronomer J.D. Maddy in studio today. AstroVerde.org, a great website to go check out more information about what we're talking about today, and that's the total solar eclipse coming up. And I guess it's not a total solar eclipse for us, but it is a total solar eclipse over the United States of America.
Correct.
Monday, August 21st, it happens. For Arizona, 9:13 a.m. it begins. 10:33 is at its peak, which is about 60 to 70% coverage.
That's almost 70%.
Almost 70% coverage, and then it ends, last contact is at noon on that day. So it's going to last a while.
Yes.
There'll be plenty of time to get out there and take a look at it.
Almost 3 hours, yes.
As long as you do it safely. You've got more on mythology.
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on some of the different cultures.
It's interesting. I love it. Yeah.
How they viewed the eclipses, depending on where they are in the world. Some of the Native Americans use the bear as their example, like Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, and they say a bear was taking a big bite out of the sun. Some cultures use lizards and big lizards taking bites out of the sun, and some use the wolves, like those in the colder regions. Probably, I'm guessing, maybe Norway and Canada and such. They use wolves as the animals that are taking bites out of the sun.
But they're all biting out of the sun. That's an interesting thing.
And that's kind of what it looks like, as almost like a Pac-Man kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they invented video games.
Before it was even going on.
Probably the most interesting one I found was Christopher Columbus back in 1504 run aground in Jamaica. And it's probably like the first time there. So he talked to the natives on Jamaica at that time, and they agreed to, feed him and help them reconstruct their boat so they could be on their way. Well, it took a really, really long time to repair this boat, I guess. The natives were getting really, really restless, and they wanted him to leave. Well, just so happened there was going to be a lunar eclipse at that time, and Christopher Columbus said, well, if we're not able to stay here, we will take the light away from the moon. And sure enough, the lunar eclipse occurred, and they says, well, this guy must be magic.
He's legit.
Yes.
We're going to help him out.
So they went ahead and worked with him and kept feeding them while they repaired their vehicles.
Somebody wrote that story down.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
yes,
very much so. Yeah.
There's a couple of different types of eclipses. Lunar eclipse, like Christopher Columbus encountered, and then the solar eclipse. And for those of you viewing, I believe there's a little diagram that I put together of the differences between a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. The lunar eclipse, the moon is on the opposite side away from the sun, and then the shadow of the earth is cast upon the moon. And then the solar eclipse, which we will actually have the moon in between us and the sun, and then it will cast a shadow on the earth. And it just so happens that we're right in the middle of the path across the United States.
And then you mentioned last time you were here that it's going to feel like the earth is standing still for a little bit.
It will, especially in the total eclipse path. Weird things happen. Animals get quiet. We went to Lake Pleasant, I think it was in the year 2000, 2001, for a partial eclipse. I think it was roughly a 50% eclipse at that time. It was 110 degrees that day, and it cooled off to 80 degrees just in a few minutes.
Oh, really?
Once it hit maximum eclipse. And then the cool breeze started blowing in off the lake. Of course, then when the eclipse was over, it was back to 110 degrees.
Oh, wow.
So temperatures change. The sky will darken. Won't darken completely, but it will darken quite a bit.
I'm most curious about that, I think, myself,
Yeah,
is just to
yeah.
see what it's like to be outside when
Now,
it's happening.
the one picture that we have, I'm not sure if he showed you, at the annular eclipse of 2012, all the astronomers went to Page, Arizona, in that area up there to see the annular eclipse. So this meant that the moon was farther away from us and was smaller in apparent size, so it didn't completely cover the sun.
Okay.
So now the moon is going to be much closer to us, roughly, I think it was 238,000 miles, so much closer to us. So that's how it can cover the entire sun. And it can actually be even closer yet, which the eclipse coming up in 2024 across the U.S. will be a 6-minute eclipse as opposed to the total eclipse in a couple of weeks of 2 minutes and roughly 30 seconds.
At its peak, it's going to be 2 minutes. Okay, but
Correct.
you're saying the one in 2024 is going to, that's
going to be a
lot longer.
Yes.
A lot longer.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So, and then the eclipse path that will go across the U.S., I think he has a little picture of that. It basically starts up in Oregon and has a slight curved path, goes through Nebraska, Missouri, and then will end over in South Carolina. Now, if you have a big yacht and you want to observe the eclipse from a big boat, you can actually observe it in the Pacific quite a ways off the coast, as well as the Atlantic quite a ways off the coast. So the eclipse path just doesn't stick to the continental United States. It actually goes over water quite a bit as well.
Okay. How would J.D. Maddy want to observe this at its best? What would be your best way to observe this eclipse?
Well, have a clear sky, number one.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that before the show. That could be a
issue.
difficult situation.
Correct.
However, you did bring up the fact that monsoon typically for Arizona is not a morning event.
Correct.
But it has happened. So.
Correct. Obviously, it's best to be in the eclipse path, and it's roughly a 70-mile wide path that you get actually a total eclipse.
Okay.
So anywhere in that 70-mile wide path, you'll have an eclipse.
But there is going to be, you've got written down here, eclipse.
Apocalypse.
Yes, I mean,
yes.
You mentioned this last time you were here too, that there is literally millions of people flocking to this
Yes,
thing.
millions and millions of people. There's all kinds of estimates go all over the charts for how many people that are going to be viewing from the eclipse path. And if you run the calculations, there are literally going to be thousands of people per lineal mile in this eclipse path.
Wow.
So Wyoming's a fairly good example, fairly sparsely populated area. I don't know the exact population, but they're expecting over 1 million people in Wyoming. And there's only a handful of roads to get in and out of Wyoming. So if weather takes a change and you have to pack up your stuff and go to a clear sky, there could be potentially thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people trying to go down the same road at the same time.
Wow, that is great.
The same thing could happen also for the East Coast. Much more dense populations, many more highways, but many more people that may potentially pack up and want to find a clear spot for the eclipse. Other impacts are going to be on the local economies, which will be a really nice shot in the arm if they have enough materials to supply.
Right, yeah.
They're expecting gas reserves in the gas stations to go very low. They're already warning big box stores and grocery stores to stock up heavily, food, water, and all the essentials and such.
Wow. Okay, we got to take our next break. Okay, J.D. Maddy in studio today, local astronomer. His website astroverde.org. Stick around, countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
The Q102.9 plays all the hits.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Ariana Grande.
Maroon 5.
This is Rihanna.
I'm Shawn Mendes. Hey, it's Bruno Mars. Ed Sheeran. What's up, guys? It's Justin Bieber. You're listening to The Weeknd.
Start your day with Brian James in the morning. You'll get at least 10 songs in a row during your ride home with Julie Page.
Zach Sang Show.
Catch the Zach Sang Show weeknights 7 to midnight. And Kelly Fox weekends on your home for hit music. The Q102.9 and 104.9 in Prescott and Cottonwood.
Hello, Mr. Hopkins. This is Sue from Disaster Relief. We're calling neighbors statewide to get help for storm victims. Children, lost parents, homes. You can. Oh, thank you. But could you send the money now? The need is urgent. We so appreciate you. It means so much, but it has to be now. It has to be cash. No credit cards, checks, just cash.
The moment they ask for immediate cash is the moment you know something's wrong. Think before you send money. Learn more at scamawareness.org.
Schools have a big problem. Every year, millions of kids come to class with nothing. So teachers end up spending thousands of dollars of their own money just to make sure kids have what they need to learn. I'm the school supply fairy. My assistant and I do what we can. But we could really use your help.
Welcome back to Countywide. Just a few minutes left in the program. Real quick, JD Maddy will be at the Cottonwood Library on August 9th, noon to 2 p.m. to talk solar eclipse preparation, kind of like we're doing on the show here today. So again, that's Cottonwood Library, noon to 2, August 9th, solar eclipse preparation. Let's talk about the Verde Valley Eclipse. That's what's next on our list here,
Yes.
Verde Valley Eclipse.
Yes, I have a picture of that also for the TV viewers, but that's about what the sun is going to look like at the maximum eclipse for us here in the Verde Valley. Roughly 70% coverage. So there will be still quite a bit of the sun visible. Now, you still don't want to look at the sun when it's partially eclipsed like this, because the sun will still be roughly 200,000 times brighter than the full moon. So very, very bright to look at. You still want to use your eclipse glasses, look at the reflections, use your eclipse box or such. But there is some science that can go along with these eclipses, as Einstein found out way back in like 1923. As it becomes dark for the total eclipse, several stars will pop out. You can probably see Jupiter and Venus if you're in the eclipse path. But another very unusual thing that will occur is gravitational lensing, which basically proved the theory of relativity. So stars that are actually behind the sun can actually be seen during a total eclipse because of the gravitational forces of the sun bending the light around similar to a prism. So there's a lot of science that can be done with total solar eclipses.
Now, is that something you see with the naked eye, or is that something you need equipment for?
You probably need equipment for it, because at total eclipse, there's going to be a huge bright area called the corona around the sun that you can actually look at if you're in the eclipse path with your naked eyes. And it's just a huge bright area around the sun, but the stars will be really, really faint. You probably have to have sensitive CCD equipment to get pictures of those.
Gotcha. Okay.
But you'll still be able to see a few stars. Probably Arcturus, Venus will be out, Jupiter will be out, maybe Vega will be out as well.
Nighttime during the day, kind of, huh?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's run through everything again. JD Maddy, local astronomer, astroverde.org is the website. At the Cottonwood Library, noon to 2 p.m., August 9th, for solar eclipse preparation. The solar eclipse is coming up on Monday, August 21st.
Correct.
It starts at 9:13 a.m. No naked eye watching on this. It's at its maximum at 10:33 a.m., 70% coverage for us here in Arizona. And any place in the state that you can think of that might be a better spot than?
Well, if you go up if you want to drive up to Page, you'll get another 6% of eclipse, so roughly about 75, 76% eclipse.
Further north you go, the better off you're going to be.
Correct, exactly.
Okay, that's safe to say. Okay.
And it's about 800 miles north to get to the total eclipse line.
Okay, okay. And then it ends at noon on that day, but 70%, that's a lot.
Yeah, you'll notice the animals will get quiet, it'll darken slightly, the air will cool.
It's going to be an interesting day.
Well. Yes, it'll be fun.
All right. That's all we got time for. JD Maddy, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me
coming in and doing the show again. Again, Cottonwood Library, noon to 2. Meet JD Maddy in person, August 9th. Solar eclipse preparation, that's at Cottonwood Library, noon to 2. Thanks for watching and listening. That's today's Countywide, and we'll talk to you again next time.